Oh,
awesome.
I guess. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 sec.
Yep. So.
Oh, hold on. Wait, let me record the little stinger thing at the end.
Basement Road Show.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Welcome to the Basement Roadshow podcast. I'm Tim Smith. Sitting alongside of me is the Doug McKenzie to my Bob McKenzie. It's Grant Patterson. Grant, another episode of the Basement Roadshow podcast. How you feeling, brother? That is a hard one to do. I'm excited to get kicked off, to get us going again. We got a sponsor today, Grant? Is that true?
We do.
We have a sponsor?
We do. We have a very, very special sponsor. It's this episode of the Basement Roadshow podcast is brought to you by the people who make movie trailers that spoil the entire fucking plot.
Wow.
Yeah. Get ready for that.
Yeah. Well, we've certainly seen plenty of those. You know, we're gonna get into that a little bit more. But first, Grant, you and I got together recently, and there was word of a trivia competition going down for a local charity with 7 rounds of prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both heard about that thing. We both showed up for that thing. How did that go, Grant?
Listen, it wasn't fair. Okay, and I'm not saying it wasn't fair for like us. It wasn't fair for everybody else.
No.
Tim and I practically battled each other down to the fucking wire. I think I won the grand prize, which is a cumulative total of all questions. I won it by like either 2 or 3 questions, something like that.
2 questions, but I don't remember.
It was it was really, really close. And I think we must have taken, I think, like 6 out of the total of 7 categories, or 5 out of 7 categories collectively.
We took 5. Yeah, we took 5 out of 7, and the other 2 that we didn't win, we lost on numbered tiebreakers.
Yeah, so it's like pick a number between 1 and whatever, and whoever's closest and doesn't go over, like freaking Price is Right style. So
basically Grant and I wandered into a middle school like Matt Damon and Ed Norton in fucking Rounders and just cleaned the place out of all their prizes. Horrifying.
It was, oh man, like what did you end up getting? What was your score? Like what, not points wise, but what did you end up like hauling away?
I got absolutely not a goddamn thing that is for me. We won a snow cone party, which is actually
dope.
Yeah, it's gonna come in handy, and it's a snow cone party and passes to the jump place. So that's good because we got a 7-year-old's birthday coming up in July. So that actually comes in handy. And then 3 months of hot yoga and a trip to the day spa. I'm super excited. You know, Grant, sometimes you just have to pamper yourself.
I know. That's. I think they're gonna take good care of you on that pedicure.
Yeah. I mean, you had to run quickly over to U-Haul to get a 26-footer for all the shit you won. What did you grab?
I think I won gift cards to every restaurant on the planet. But here's the thing, you're not walking away empty-handed because I have these super secret plans. One of the big grand prizes I won, actually the grand prize, was a 2-night stay at a 5-star resort, 2 nights, 3 days. And what came with it is this golf foursome at like a legit...
Are you a top or a bottom for the foursome?
Oh my.
I think I skipped ahead. Go ahead. Let me let you finish. I should let you finish.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's a golf foursome. Let me clarify.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
It's I think it's like what is it, Arnold Palmer signature golf course and something else. It's really expensive golf course, pro level golf course on the beach, so it's super windy and super fucking hard. And what I think I'm gonna do is there's 3 people I'm supposed to take with me, and the only person that I know would probably want to play golf is Tim. And yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking you, my dad, and my father-in-law, or possibly your dad, or something like that. We all get together, shoot the shit, and drive around on a golf cart on a really expensive fucking course and get shit faced.
Yeah, that's really the end goal. Is how many Mick Ultras can you drink on the front 9 versus how many you can drink on the back 9. I mean, that's what I understand golf to be from John Daly. So
that's right.
That's what
Damn
he
right.
Like, he's the ideal. It's the fucking John Daly PGA Tour golf course. John Daly signature golf course.
Yeah, that's sir. You can't play cornhole in the fairway. Like you have to play through, sir. You have to play through.
That's what I say. You're gonna sit there talking about who's on bottom and talking about playing cornholes on fairways.
Oh my.
Oh, nice callback. So, Grant, we have some guests who are on the pod with us, showing up again.
Well, it's the same goddamn people as last week.
Same goddamn people. We got Danno Waddell with us. Danno.
Hello.
Hello, Danno's here. We got Christian Vasquez on the pod.
Hey.
There he is. And Gordon Kirshner as well is coming in. He's going to tell some sad stories later on in the TV section.
Oh
Look,
my.
I'm just here until you guys kick me out.
Yeah, it'll be happening soon. Gordon, just keep it up. So, all right, everybody, and now we're going to go ahead and talk about some movies.
I'm here at the movies. I'm here with my lady. I'm here eating popcorn with my lady and my popcorn and a movie on the silver screen.
All right, I guess this is a thing we're still doing. Anyway, let's talk about movies. I got my buddy Danno in here with me, and we're going to talk about movies. Other folks are going to chime in. I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the movie that actually eclipsed Thanos this weekend at the box office, and that was the premiere of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool in Deadpool 2.
That's right. And Deadpool 2, I gotta say, I was surprised to find I think it's better than the first Deadpool movie.
I don't know how they did it, Danno. I saw the movie as well, and high bar with Deadpool. A lot of people didn't know what to expect. Was Ryan Reynolds going to be too over the top as Deadpool if that was something that was possible? How was it going to be handled as the first rated R comedy? So a lot of things could have gone wrong with Deadpool 1, and it was a smashing success. Now here we are with Deadpool 2. Where the studio's opening up the coffers. They're saying, here you go, here's the money, do whatever you want, and that is where a sequel can go fucking sideways in a heartbeat. And Deadpool 2 nailed it.
Yeah, they did. And it's interesting because they actually had some issues towards the beginning of filming or pre-production.
Couple
where the
directors,
first-
right?
Yeah, the first director didn't want to go the way Ryan Reynolds did, and I guess Ryan Reynolds has enough say when it comes to Deadpool that that director, that was Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool 1.
Right.
So he got ousted. I can't remember who they
What are they
brought
going to
in
get Eric
after.
Roberts to play Deadpool now? I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds pretty much has as much leeway
he's
as one
got
can
that,
have.
Yeah.
He's
got
like
that nailed
LeBron.
down.
He's like LeBron James dealing with the coaches of the Cavaliers.
Definitely. And I think my problem with the first Deadpool movie is it gets a bit bloated with the origin story at times, and really the ending battle is kind of anticlimactic
I agree
to a
with
certain
that.
extent.
I agree with that. That battle left a little bit to be desired, and the movie was a great lead up until that point. But Deadpool 2 just they added a cast of new characters. I thought Domino was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Colossus, all the cameos that I won't spoil here. were unbelievable. As funny as ever, you know, you would think that there was a possibility for some of these jokes to just, you know, okay, we've seen this shtick before, but, you know, they found a way to keep it fresh. They found a way to keep pulling you in emotionally to the story when you didn't quite expect it, when you thought it was just going to be more, you know, swords and asses and, you know, and dick jokes. But, you know, they found ways to make the story so emotionally compelling in spots that it really came together as this like great shepherd's pie of a movie with all kinds of crazy, zany comedy, unbelievable action, and then, you know, hit you in the feels in a couple of spots.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's a very well-rounded movie, but still accomplishes what a Deadpool movie should set out to do, which is make you laugh and make you, you know, excited for the action. But yeah, definitely the emotional aspect to it was well done as well.
They revisit a gag from Deadpool 1 in Deadpool 2, and they go even further with it, and it's fucking hilarious. So definitely check out Deadpool 2. It's worth the price of admission. Other movies coming up. We had a trailer drop for a franchise that's very near and dear to my heart. The Predator trailer just dropped. Shane Black directing Predator, a former actor in the first Predator, Shane Black, and now he's coming back to direct this reboot of the franchise. And I don't know what to make of the trailer. I don't know what's going on.
Neither do I.
It looks a little bit like a combination between
Who the
Predator
fuck
and
FedExes
E.T.
a
or
Predator
something.
mask to a kid?
That's a bad dad.
How does that get through the sorting facility?
How does that freaking get through Amazon's quality control? I mean,
Yeah.
like, obviously you guys, I mean, you can get that shit on 2-day prime shipping, then, I mean, damn. We future now.
I've got a cousin who's doing 6 years for just sending an ounce through the mail, and this guy's sending like a high-tech alien explosives.
You know, shit's
The
wild.
future is here.
Shit's wild in these streets.
Stay up, Todd. Stay up. Hope he's listening. Anyway, so
Yeah,
the Predator trailer.
I
What
think-
the fuck is happening in it? I don't understand.
It honestly looks like there's maybe two Predator movies that they combined into one, because they've got all the scenes in the jungle that remind you of the first Predator movie, and then they've got like this scene in a neighborhood where this boy, like you guys said, gets FedExed all this Predator equipment or something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got Olivia Munn there too. So maybe it's part of the X-Men universe. I don't know.
This shit reminds me of AVP Requiem in all the worst ways.
AVP Requiem was a fantastic piece of B cinema. Like I can't even go and accurately describe the lengths of B cinema that movie went to. I can't. I own
If you
it.
could
I
actually
own it. I own it.
if you could actually capture the image of a fart, that's literally that movie.
Yeah, I have it. I have the collector's edition if anyone wants to borrow it. Solo's coming up this weekend.
Solo.
Early reviews are.
We'll be getting
hot.
back onto poor freaking investment decisions later on in the podcast.
Solo is coming out this weekend. The newest Star Wars standalone movie, a Star Wars story, if you will, and it's about a young Han Solo, a young Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, and not so young 190-year-old Chewbacca. So early reviews are starting to be positive. So
It's got a
I don't know.
71% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's certified fresh. Like, it
Ish.
is ish.
I feel like I just can't trust it anymore though. And here's the sad thing. I am someone who grew up watching Star Wars, and I forgot the movie was coming out this weekend.
Oh yeah, I kept
Like,
forgetting when it was coming out. I was like, it's like some time that, right? Like soon. The Rotten Tomatoes
Coming
though,
out in
eventually,
May?
and it's got a 41. So interestingly enough, on Rotten Tomatoes also there's the like want to see user vote, which is only 41% of users who voted want to see it. So despite the fact that most like film critics have said like, I kind of expected this movie to be shit, and it's not bad. It's not the best Star Wars movie you've ever seen, but it's serviceable. It's really surprised me. Especially a lot of people actually said that Alden Ehrenreich did alright, all things considered. Which really surprised me, because I figured it would be like, any review would basically be like, well, the supporting cast is good, and Alden kind of sucks, and here we are.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. We'll see. I'm trying to put positive vibes around it. I'll definitely check that out. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out soon. They've just released a new trailer with some some of those cool enlarging and shrinking effects. Any idea, Danno, yet on where this is going to take place in the timeline? Is this something that's going to show any of the fallout from Avengers, or is this something that's going to be kind of a simultaneous thing, or just prior to those events?
I think it's going to be half and half, Tim.
Oh,
I don't know. I think they might set the whole movie before Infinity War, just for the to make it a little bit more simple. Watching the trailer, I honestly
you can't
feel
really tell. It's got to be before, though.
I think it's before. I think what it'll do is it's just like weird release schedule, maybe due to like delays in filming or something. But I think like what it'll ultimately do is explain like why, spoiler alert, Ant-Man or the Wasp are not in Infinity War 1. I think it'll just ultimately explain like what they were doing or what nonsense they got themselves involved in, that they can't stop the end of the universe.
I enjoyed the first Ant-Man movie. I love Paul Rudd, so I mean it's something that I'll definitely check out.
It's great. It was just Iron Man 1, but a heist movie and 3 times as funny.
Yeah,
it definitely looks like more of the same. So whereas Infinity War goes a bit deeper and gives us a bit more of the Marvel Universe and villains and things like that, I'm not sure if Ant-Man and the Wasp is gonna quite go there, and maybe it shouldn't to some extent, because it's Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Well, any other movies anybody's interested in talking about today? Anything that's on the horizon? Gordon, anything
what did strike me as pretty cool? I saw a trailer for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, the Freddie Mercury biopic.
Yeah, and it's got Rami Malek in it, and you know what? Part of me is like, I think Guy is going to be able to actually pull this off. I don't know if he'll get the singing. I mean, maybe they'll bring in someone else to overdub the voice, or maybe they'll dub over Freddie's original voice. But from what I could tell, he's pretty convincing, and the guy that they had playing Brian May is pretty convincing. And I'm like,
wasn't Sacha Baron Cohen originally attached to this film to play Freddie Mercury?
I think
I don't know.
I think it got like bogged down because this movie has been in production, I feel like, for like 10 years, and it got really bogged down, and that's what ultimately led us here.
Yeah, I definitely can see that as being a good film. That trailer was pretty good, and hopefully that's something that doesn't shit all over the legacy of the great Freddie Mercury. That would be horrible. Well,
hold on, one second. One more thing too. You got
another one?
I do. I did watch I, Tonya this weekend. That was actually a really good movie, and I want everybody to go watch that. It's this weird dark comedy and a sports film all at once. And it's way better than I expected it to be, and it's definitely worth the rental.
Well, good. Everybody head over to your local Hollywood Video and pick that up this week. But that's going to wrap it up for movies. We're going to go ahead and take a little break here and wrap up with our next segment.
So listen, every game we play just glistens. Playing them all is a mission, and we sitting here wishing that you would just kick it and hear what we spit. We talking about video games.
Really? Okay. Well, anyway, games. Gordon, Grant, Vaz, Danno. We all love video games, man. I know I've been playing the hell out of some video games lately. What have you guys been up to? What are you looking forward to? What have you been playing?
Yakuza 6.
Well, same old shit as always. Right now, me personally, I am playing. I'm a crack smoker for Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm about 91% done with all the side ops. I've got just, I think I'm, 70% done with the main missions. I've just got like the extra missions to do. So yeah, I'm just trying to march this slow, inexorable plodding towards 100%. Half of that's responsible due to me getting turned on to this weird subreddit that I'm not putting much faith in, but I constantly talk about it only to piss Gordon off.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of discussion. I'm going to go ahead and sit out on this one, but I can't wait to hear you guys go toe-to-toe on this finally.
So Reddit, the subreddit is r never be game over. And so basically it is the tinfoil hattiest of shit. And I love it because I'm not putting my faith in the idea that Death Stranding is Metal Gear Solid Zero. But there are so many little nods and so many little like teasers and hints and like the social media accounts that are like constantly posting like references to Metal Gear and shit like that. So there's all this smoke. Something is on fire and I don't know what it is, but I'm very, very interested to see what it could possibly be. And every time I bring it up, Gordon dies a little more inside. And
Gordon, is Grant a crazy person?
I take great pleasure in this.
I don't know if Grant is a crazy person. He's certainly an enabler. This is kind of like the collection of like, they took all the people in the world who just had too much damn time on their hands and then just like subjected them to Hideo Kojima's work non-stop until they started seeing sound.
I imagine it's like some Clockwork Orange shit where you're watching all of the cutscenes.
Yeah, they're just here, these little nods. I mean, some of them are like, okay, like I can maybe see something there, like when you watch some of these like crackpot YouTube videos. But then like they'll see one thing and then they'll make like 7 leaps of logic and it'll be like, and this confirms that Hideo Kojima actually went back in time, created Metal Gear Solid Zero, and then renamed it Death Stranding and buried it in a time capsule so that it could come out now, or some like other nonsense.
So essentially, Grant is like a crazy cat lady who sees Barbara Streisand and his grilled cheese. Like, is that essentially what we're seeing here?
Exactly what describes these conspiracy theories.
The thing is, I don't subscribe to the theories. I just know that it's very interesting to the point that something is there. Do I think it's something of that scale? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, like my own, the channel, the Discord channel I started to discuss this sort of stuff is literally based on 2 rules. And these 2 rules are very simple. Rule 1 is Hideo Kojima likes to fuck with people. And rule number 2 is Hideo Kojima likes to fuck with people. So keep those 2 rules in mind because he does do what those rules state. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. We're going to know a lot come E3. So, keep your eyes open and maybe, who knows, maybe it'll get revealed that it's Metal Gear Solid Zero and it'll be the greatest troll in the history of the industry. Well, I think if it's Metal Gear Solid Zero, great. Awesome. If it's just Death Stranding and a brand new thing that's not Metal Gear, great. I want to see him do something that's not Metal Gear. It's why I love Zone of the Enders so much.
Definitely a lot of stuff going to be coming up at E3. We've got some other things coming out. Risk of Rain 2 was revealed. I'm not familiar with the Risk of Rain franchise, so are we excited about Risk of Rain 2?
I am. I have played so much Risk of Rain that I bought the PlayStation 4 version from Limited Run just so I could have it on disc, just so I could own a copy of Risk of Rain, because that game is wildly entertaining for being such a small little roguelike indie game. The new one's in 3D. It looks a lot different, but it's
visually very, very different from the unique pixel art look we had for Risk of Rain 1. But I definitely think this allows them to breathe a bit more.
Describe it for me.
So basically what Risk of Rain is you can pick from, I want to say, any of like 8 or 9 different classes. You are a lone survivor of a space capsule that falls to an alien planet that is trying to kill you. It's actively trying to kill you. And you're trying to get back to the ship in order to blast off and get away from the planet. So you pick a character of this class, whether it's like the commando, the sharpshooter, the demolitions expert, the hunter with the sword. You have the huntress with like the crossbow or whatever. You even get like the little robot cook who can throw like cleavers and shit. So what you do is you run around and you kill enemies and you beat bosses and you basically play until you die, or you restart the ship and win. And the stronger you get, the more items you pick up and the more that you augment your abilities, the faster and stronger and more able to survive you are. The problem is that the game gets more difficult the longer you play it. So, you might be sitting there kicking back trying to get money to open up a chest or get another item or something like that, and be spending 15 minutes on one world trying to kill something, and you have to beat the boss in order to open the teleporter to get to the next world. But that 15 minutes, you could have gone up 3 difficulty levels. So by the time you get to that boss is going to kick your ass quick. So you constantly have to make this life or death decision between, do I want to farm shit and get the most of what I can out of it, kill all the enemies and get all this stuff? Or do I want to take the quick and easy way out and move through the game as fast as possible? Because as you move quicker, the enemies stay lower level. It's really cool. The mechanics are a lot of fun. And I've played a metric shit ton of this game. So seeing a new one come out and be all 3D, it was kind of a shock. And I'm very excited to see more of it.
Well, the next few podcasts might be missing Grant then. After the Risk of Rain 2 release, we'll have to be wary of his addiction. EA recently outed Microsoft and Sony's sales figures. Who is surprised that Sony is doubling Microsoft's numbers?
Honestly, not me.
No one. I don't think anyone should be. Anyone who watches the industry, period, should not be surprised at this news.
The problem that Microsoft has had for them, number one, they completely fucked up all of their marketing and messaging leading up to the release of the Xbox One.
Then they fucked up all their games.
Then they forgot how to make video games that don't start with the words Halo or Gears.
Shit, even the one that does start with Halo, Halo 5 and Halo Wars 2 are both subpar compared to their previous predecessors.
Yeah, so it's really just it's a hot mess on Microsoft's front. I think honestly what it looks like is just a lot of hubris. Microsoft was really cocky. They owned the market in the previous generation. They figured they could just keep that string going and have not put enough effort into maintaining their player base. Whereas Sony's putting out like a hot new single player du jour game once a year. I mean, this year we've had God of War, which everyone is creaming their pants over. Last year we had Horizon Zero Dawn, which everyone was creaming their pants over. We pretty much had
it'll be The Last of Us
2, yeah, which everyone will surprise.
Invariably cream their pants over.
Sony, the console of pants creaming.
Pretty
basically, they could put that. They could probably, if they were cool like they used to be, where they did like super hip marketing campaigns, they'd probably do that. But they won't now.
I see a lot of similarities now with the Xbox One as Sony had with the PlayStation 3, where PS3 came out of the gate and it struggled for 4 years. And then suddenly, once it started to get like mass market priced and wasn't so damn expensive and had a bunch of games in the channel, then it started to kind of open up and be more of an even playing field, because the 360 was just shitting all over their breakfast every year, especially with the PSN outages and shit like that. It was just a bad time to be a PlayStation fan. And I think it's because they rolled out of the PlayStation 2 era thinking that they could do no wrong.
Yeah, and it looks like the shoe's on the other foot with Microsoft this time for sure. But Rage 2 recently announced. A lot of people were hoping that this would be a Borderlands 3 pre-announcement. It's not that.
It is the game that nobody asked for and that nobody really wants, because not that many people really liked Rage 1. Rage 1 was a boring wasteland shooter. It was all the worst things about a post-apocalyptic games with almost none of the redeeming factors.
So it was like Fallout without the anything that made Fallout, because Fallout was good.
Yeah, pretty much. And so it was really just like a generic id shooter. It was coming off the heels. I think the last id shooter they had made that was anything reasonable was
Doom 3.
It was Doom 3. It was kind of coming off the heels of that. It was trying to be like Doom for like a new generation. It just didn't.
Supposedly no Borderlands 3 coming at E3 either. From what I mean, obviously it could all be smoke and mirrors and misdirection, but that's the early.
I
word
honestly
coming out.
don't care if I see Gearbox Studios ever again because I have personal issues with Randy Pitchford.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be nice if Gearbox was consistent in making quality games, but the last good game they made was Borderlands 2, and everything that they've been involved with since then has been a hot mess with a lot of misdirection as far as marketing and videos.
right.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that you know damn well they siphoned money from Aliens Colonial Marines to make Borderlands 2, which I don't know whether or not that's confirmed or not, but I'm pretty solidly convinced that was the case.
Yeah, so, and then Battleborn happened. Whoops.
Yeah, what the fuck was up with that?
That's why this is just, you never challenge Blizzard. If Blizzard's going to beat you to the market, you just let them and you cancel your project and you move on to something else.
Fuck
There
yeah.
you go. Other projects going online. The Nintendo Switch online service was revealed. Grant, I know you have a Switch. Is this something
do.
you're going to get down on?
TBD. I saw some leaks.
Thank you.
That
Someone finally said it.
Yeah. I saw some leaks that may have pointed to a potential Star Fox on the horizon, as well as an F-Zero. If I get F-Zero on the Switch with online gameplay, you bet your ass I'm going to be paying for that online access, because F-Zero is part of my...
F-Zero was the joint.
Dude, F-Zero is part of my fucking very human soul. But with no plans for virtual console, there's a lot of sour going along with that suite.
Yeah, so there's a few things, I guess, in my mind. The NES titles that are included in the Switch Online service, I think, is kind of nice. 20 NES titles that you can access. It's supposedly going to have, like, online functionality as well, so you'll be able to do some online multiplayer and stuff. I think that's certainly cool.
That is cool.
The fact that they're retiring Virtual Console as a brand, so I guess, like, it doesn't mean we're not necessarily ever going to get any retro games again, but we're not going to have a unified place to look for them, and we're not going to be as sure on, like, what their plans are is kind of iffy. But the thing that's really got me like hesitant as to whether I want to go for the online service or say fuck it is the fact that the Switch is like totally hackable now. So I've been following the Switch like hacking scene now. They've discovered the unpatchable exploit on this current hardware revision.
Gordon and my bookmarks are just not the same in our web browsing. He's following the Nintendo Switch online hacking community. I've got goat videos.
So I've been following that, and they're already starting to get emulators running and versions of Linux running, and they're working on custom firmware. And it's like, if they could just get emulators like up through at least N64 level, like fuck you Nintendo, I'm just gonna take my shit offline and not even worry about it.
Yeah.
All the games I've got
disagree.
interest in are single player for the most part on Switch, or games that like I don't consider as like online multiplayer. So part of my issue with like Nintendo games is they're just like not games I want to play online, but they are games I want to play with other people in the room. Like I'm not gonna
Mario Party.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna go queue up for like Mario Party with a bunch of randos. That's not happening. Same with like Mario Kart.
Go find random people. It'll be fun.
The thing is I find the same. When the Wii U came out, the reason why I didn't buy it was because the tablet controller needed to be 30 feet away from the console in order to work. To me, that defeats the purpose of having that, because that means I cannot play Super Metroid on the shitter. So
That's the whole point. That's the whole point, Nintendo.
The whole
Just
point,
being real here.
the whole point. I mean, like, if I can't play Chrono Trigger on the shitter, there's a fundamental problem with this freaking idea. So here you go. You've now made a completely modular console that bridges the gap between your console and handheld markets and product lines. And now you're going to tell me that I can't take my favorite games into the shitter? Like,
it's like my grandfather always said, nothing releases the colon like a good game of Super Monkey Ball.
Now we know what you play in the bathroom.
Ew.
All right, guys, video games can sometimes be hard. Making video games can be very hard. Boss Key shuts down. Cliff Bleszinski, out of business, guys. This probably, how you feel about this situation definitely depends on whether or not you liked the personality of Cliff Bleszinski.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Could not have happened to a nicer guy. I mean,
let's go ahead and rewind that for a second. What was that about challenging Blizzard on their own fucking doorstep?
Yeah.
Just don't. Look, I gotta give Cliff credit. He made an entire career off of copying Quake, tweaking it just enough to make people not totally notice, and selling like 50 different games based on that concept. And I mean, props to him, and also to the folks at Digital Extremes who partnered with him on it. Like, Unreal Tournament 2004 is one of the best shooters ever made, bar none. Great game. But then he tried to do it again with Overwatch and Lawbreakers, and nope, don't challenge Blizzard, doesn't gonna work.
Lawbreakers was such a high skilled game that it just didn't appeal to anyone in a time where a lot of people are trying to dumb down their games a little bit to make them appeal to more of a casual audience, you know, but they went the other way with it and turned the skill gap up to 11, and it really just didn't catch on. It was a genre that was fading and dying, and Lawbreakers, other than the Overwatch and the competitive scene, the arena shooters are just not where they were.
Yeah,
and
so
it was a well-made game, but at the end of the day, nobody wanted to play because you had to be super fucking great at playing FPSs to even be interested in playing this game.
Yeah, and so Blizzard has always been really good at taking existing genres and then, like, making them appeal to a mass audience. So, like, what they did with World of Warcraft, they basically took EverQuest and made it more casual. What they did with Magic the Gathering, with Hearthstone, what they did with Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch. And it's like, you can't go the other direction. Like, Blizzard's whole, like, design philosophy is aimed at, like, dumbing down a genre to garner mass appeal. Like, if you try to go the other way, the most your game will be is like this tight niche. And when you have someone who's such a controversial figure like Cliff Bleszinski at the head of it too, I think it just does not lend itself well to what you do.
Yeah, it was so interesting because his about face after taking on Blizzard and Overwatch was to take on
Fortnite.
take on the biggest game in the fucking world right now in Fortnite.
Or PUBG. It was just like, dude.
A lot of people had some nice things to say about Radical Heights, in its early stages, but it was too little, too late, and it, in super rough form. But Cliffy B's slinking to retirement with his tail between his legs, and I don't think it'll be the last we hear from Cliff Bleszinski. But
it's not. I think he needs time to step back and actually come up with something that's an original idea. Because there is one thing he is good at, and that is making fun experiences and fast, frenetic action experiences. He does know the design philosophy of that very, very well, and I think that can suit him greatly. But I think he needs to step away and become more innovative rather than imitative. If he's not so concentrated on trying to repeat or catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak, or someone else's lightning in a bottle, then I think he'll probably wind up with a lot more success. Because Gears of War, yeah, it was another third-person shooter, but it wasn't like everything else. It was a little different, and I think that's why it really shone. But if he keeps trying to do the same thing as someone else, or keeps trying to ape someone else's successes, I think he's just going to run into the same fucking wall.
Right, and a little humility wouldn't hurt, but...
Speaking of developers that are trying to take someone's game that is not doing well and imitate it, what's going on with BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle on the heels of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite?
I don't know.
Neither do I, because the thing is it's so weird. You'd think I'd be all about this. Like, I love fighting games, yes. I love weeb shit, yes.
2 boxes checked.
But I don't care about this game. So I'm like,
I'm with Grant.
I don't care for it either.
I'll be
you
honest,
nerds have fun.
I've gone back and forth on this game. When they first announced the full roster, and they said that basically 20 characters were going to be in the game at launch, and then 20 characters were going to be DLC, I was a little iffy on it, because I was like, great, this is Street Fighter Cross Tekken all over again. This is going to be some bullshit. But then they really revealed pricing. Those 20 characters combined cost like $20, and the base game only costs $50. So it's like, for $70 you get 40 characters, it's pretty solid. And then I got to play it this weekend, actually. I was at Anime Central in the Midwest and got to experience it. They had a demo set up. and it's actually a lot of fun. They basically, it's sort of weird. I think it has kind of the same concerns people had about DBZ before it came out, where it's like there's not.
What was the people watching like at Anime Central in the Midwest?
Man, the funniest thing was, so my really good friend was cosplaying as Raven from Guilty Gear because that's his favorite character, and for some reason, like the Arc System Works marketing guy was there, or maybe from Axis, I don't know. Whoever's handling marketing for the U.S. for Crosstag. Wanted to get like a picture of him playing a guy who was cosplaying Hazama, even though that's like Raven's not in the game because doesn't have Guilty Gear characters. That was super weird, but there was a lot of people watching.
That's a big misstep, if you ask me.
That's a huge misstep. The better one they got was the Ruby cosplayer playing against the Crow cosplayer. That was a better one. But like, whatever. The people watching was weird. I'm glad I played the game on the Friday night, which is good because by Saturday night they had like an arcade set up for it and it was literally just mobbed. So I'm glad I got to at least experience. It's weird. It's basically got 2 real buttons.
It's weird, you say?
It's weird. Well, because all of these characters come from games that are more complex, as far as like button layout and execution. So they all come from 3 or 4 button games.
It's some shit that has like a goddamn tortilla button or some shit like that.
Yeah, so it's got so it's a 5 button total game. It's got light, medium, and what they call clash, which is like it's kind of like a universal heavy like in Dragon Ball Z, except you can't combo out of it seems like. And every time you do like a 5H or a 5 clash, whatever, your like assist character comes in and does like an attack with you, and it looks all cinematic or whatever. It's weird. And then you get a dedicated assist button, which the assist button is great because you get 3 assists. So back assist, neutral assist, and forward assist each do different assists, which is really cool. And then you get a dedicated tag button. So there's not a lot of buttons, and all of your characters, like, forget everything you think you know about any of these characters. If you've played BlazBlue, if you've played Persona 4 Arena, if you've played Under Night, they don't play at all like those characters because there's like only 2 buttons really to do stuff
and
with.
There's a tortilla button in the middle there that you have to press it in order to throw tortillas.
Yeah, so it's that's a little goofy, but that being said, I thought the game was really fun. It's really fast. You tag in and out really fast. Assists are really fun to use, especially with the different assist variants. There's definitely a lot of stuff going on. The new characters, so the Ruby characters, which are brand new, not copy pasted from another game, are really great and fun to play. So it's got that going for it, and it hasn't like removed everyone's favorite characters, so it'll probably at least do better than Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite did.
Well,
I've got just one question.
Yeah.
Are these corn tortillas or flour tortillas?
Well, are we talking
not
tacos?
Flour, by far.
Well, wait.
Okay,
What
just
is
making sure. I was just making sure.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I
Throw
mean,
the flour
do
tortilla.
I look like some? What do I look like, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a corn tortilla guy if we're talking about tacos. But
Right,
speaking
the
of
soft shell corn
tacos,
tortilla.
yes. Speaking of tacos, Fortnite is the biggest game of the world right now. Avengers was just recently the biggest movie in the world, and they did a crossover where Thanos landed on the map. Well, actually, no, Thanos didn't land on the map. The Infinity Gauntlet landed on the map in Fortnite, and you could become Thanos for a very short period of time. This was about a week-long event. From what I understand, it was pretty popular. They did some tweaks as it was going on, but essentially, if you could get to the Infinity Gauntlet in time, you got to become Thanos, and you got powers of Thanos, and you could still be killed, and the next person whoever killed Thanos got to grab the gauntlet. So it was an interesting mode. I didn't get to play it, but I watched a bunch of the streams.
How do tacos tie into this?
Yeah.
Well, if you have the Infinity Gauntlet,
You'll have to tune into the next episode for the tie-in.
If you have all 6 Infinity
Foreshadowing.
Stones, you can just make tacos.
Foreshadowing.
Reality.
Yeah, indeed. But it was an interesting little event, and it just shows you, man, that the attention that Fortnite is getting, that Marvel, which is just so big on its own, would say, yeah, we should go over here. We'll get a little more exposure. Every kid in the world who's playing Fortnite is definitely going to want to be Thanos. So, Another smart thing, we're going to see more of this stuff coming down the pike. Fortnite says it's not a game, it is a platform. And they're so
I've heard
big
that
right
before.
now. So big with so much reach right now, especially crossing over with celebrities playing Fortnite and stuff like that. So it should be interesting to see what they come up with now that we know there's no limit to what they could do. Could there be be Han Solo stuff coming? Who knows?
I mean,
Who
they
knows?
definitely
But
announced that apparently they have more money than God because they're throwing $100 million into the esports scene
Yeah, holy
for
shit,
tournament
that
was
nuts.
Which
Like
is
well, I mean,
$100 million.
when they heard
Holy shit.
Ninja sold out a place that was like 12,000 people and sold the tickets for like $100 a pop, and people were fucking lit. I mean, this is changing the esports landscape. People want to watch this in person. Like, they want to watch Fortnite on a big screen. Fortnite is being shown in bars all over the place. Like, it's becoming like this thing that people just like, it's in the zeitgeist. It's something that they watch. It's interesting to see how, when the bubble's going to break on something like this, obviously, but it is really, crossed over, like country music is now pop. That's what Fortnite kind of is right now.
I imagine that Fortnite is the country music of video games. Yes.
Yeah. Another thing my grandfather used to say. But moving on to my favorite stupid game that I hate, that makes me mad, and then I love it and then I hate it, is Destiny 2 just launched their new Warmind DLC campaign, and I've been playing the shit out of it. I gotta be honest. I've been hurt before. Grant, Gordon, Danno, you've all heard me lament and talk about the pain I've experienced from the game that is Destiny 2.
Yeah, you're like a battered spouse for that fucking game.
Listen, I ran into a door, and I still love Destiny 2.
I still love him though.
Yeah,
all the doors. It doesn't matter how many stairs I fall down. I'll crawl right back up him to get to him.
Destiny 2 launched with a casualification that really made the game a different thing than what Destiny 1 became, and that upset a lot of people, including myself. And it took the hobby away for a lot of us. Nothing to chase, nothing to grind for, and that was a lot of the fun. A lot of great community spurned around that. And I played the first DLC for this, and I got to tell you what, I dropped it. I dropped it almost immediately. I played through the campaign, I think, on one character, and then I didn't play it anymore at all. I didn't even do the raid.
Same. That was exactly my experience with it. I played through Destiny 2 all the way through the raid. Played through the raid, had fun. It was just starting to get to okay, maybe it's time to peter out because there's not much to do. Then the first expansion came out, and I was like, all right, I'll come back to this. The thing that irritates me, I feel like I'm just perpetually getting conned into buying this damn game. Like, I bought Destiny. I have the Destiny
available
1.
right now for $12 on Humble Bundle on PC.
Yeah, go pick it up if you want to not hate your life because you didn't spend $60 on it. Like, I've got my Destiny 1 PS4.
Do that
sitting
instead
right
of
next
cutting.
To me. Like, I've put a lot of money into these games for some godforsaken reason because people keep being like, it's fun now. I think that's what everyone tells me every time a new thing comes
blind
out.
faith into it because it's Bungie. I mean,
it's fucking chasing the dragon, man. I hear you. I own the season pass on 2 platforms, on PC and on Xbox.
It's fun now. It's never the most fun it was when the Taken King came out on Destiny 1, and even then, that was like what Destiny 1 should have been at launch.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you
the thing that it should have been when they came out.
The Destiny 2 Warmind DLC is definitely an improvement over its predecessor. It's definitely, and I know that was a pretty low bar, and there's definitely a lot of makeup that Bungie is using right now to try to hide the bruises that is on this game, but that are on this game, but. It's improving, and it is going in the right direction. And I got to tell you, I've been playing a shitload of Destiny 2 again, and I've been having fun. And, at the end of the day, that's what you're really looking for from your video game experience. It's not something that's been a pain in the ass for me. There's things to do. There's lots of interesting quests for weapons. There's lots of heroic adventures that tell more stories in addition to the campaign once you complete that. There's a new Crucible ranking system that people have been clamoring for forever. I don't know that that's enough to get the PvP community back, But for those who are still around and still playing it, I think it's an interesting investment. And that's what they're really trying to get out of Destiny again, is the investment. They wanted to bring back the hobby for people, and I think they're doing a good job. I find myself saying to myself, okay, I have to get this done tonight because I need to prioritize, because I'm grinding that light level, man, the power level. I'm trying to get ready to do the new raid, which is getting rave reviews. So, Destiny 2 is not 100% complete and an awesome game, but it's moving in the right direction, and I think the September expansion is what a lot of people are excited for, which is basically like the Taken King was in Destiny 1. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm playing Destiny 2 a lot again, and I'm having fun. So if you have it already, if you've already paid for it like I have and like Gordon probably did, go ahead and pick it up. It is actually worth it, and the campaign alone was fun to play through. So what any other video game stuff you guys want to talk about? Or are we shutting that son of a bitch down?
I think we're shutting it down.
I think we talked about everything and then some.
Yeah, we're going to shut them down like Public Enemy on that video games, and we're going to move on to the next topic of conversation.
In the red corner, flying high in a rocket car at 173 pounds, it's the Spartan of Spacely Sprockets, George Jetson! And in the blue corner, somehow flying even higher than that by inexplicable means, weighing in at 166 pounds, the Duke of Dank, the Ultra Instinct Kid, Noel Shaggy Rogers!
Holy shit, that was a hell of an intro. We've got quite the Titanic matchup today. We've got Shaggy Rogers coming in versus George Jetson. Everyone's here to weigh in on who will win this hypothetical battle. Grant, Shaggy versus George Jetson. These guys, we all know there's been bad blood over at Hanna-Barbera. People are talking about it, behind the scenes for years. We've seen it in the trades. They're finally going to settle the score. Who do you have?
Honestly, I mean, there is no more hypothetical than this. I honestly, if I have to really put it down, we got to take a real strong look at both of these characters and what they bring to the ring. George Jetson he's a little lazy. He's got a lot of stuff done for him. I mean, the guy's definitely got his wits about him. He's a smart competitor, but
things are pretty automated back in his day.
Spends all his days on conveyor belts and shit. Versus Shaggy,
shilling for the man, Spacely Sprocket.
Exactly. Shaggy is constantly running, constantly training. Plus, there's been rumors of him being able to go some sort of secret Super Saiyan level. This happened sometime in Mexico, I guess. Shit is real. So
I got a question though. Have the panels come back for Shaggy yet? I mean, is there some sort of drug testing involved in this hypothetical weigh-in? Because I'm not sure if he's gonna pass all those banned substances.
How does one test cartoon piss, Tim?
That's an excellent question.
How does one test cartoon piss anyway?
Gordon wants to jump in on that one right away.
Here's my only question. I have one question here. We've all seen how Shaggy eats. We've seen this man demolish sandwiches twice his height. Do you think if push comes to shove, if he's in a real tight pickle, he just eats George Jetson?
He could totally cannibalize and Dahmer the fuck
He'll probably
out of George
think
Jetson.
he's a pickle anyway.
I mean, probably, to be honest, would be like, okay, he's got some fat on his bones. It'll be some tender meat. Let's go for it.
Shaggy's kind of a pacifist, though, man. That's the thing. That's the thing that worries me. And George,
not if you piss him off.
So what do you think? You think somebody's got Scooby tied up in a fucking basement somewhere, and he's telling him if George doesn't go down, then the fucking dog gets it? Like, is that what happens here?
Scooby's his trainer. I honestly think Scooby's his trainer because they'll do anything for a fucking Scooby snack.
That's true. That's so
Tim,
true.
I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
all you
been
really have
watching
to
these
do is
I'm
tell
not hearing a lot of love for George Jetson, but I mean,
I
he
think
could have a fucking Matrix style download where he could just totally do kung fu on fucking Shaggy's ass, and we don't
could.
even know. We don't even know.
He could. I mean, he could have probably been boxing Rosie for like the past 5-10 years or some shit like that. We don't know.
Dude,
I heard
Rosie is so hot.
I heard she hits like a tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I think what we need to realize is that George Jetson has a lot of underlying anger that he's got to deal with. And I think we're going to see that come out in the ring.
I think George Jetson and Judy Jetson are like Donald and Ivanka Trump.
This took a really weird turn.
This took an interesting turn. Here's my question though. What are the odds you think that George just smuggles in some of his future age tech into the ring? Because what
Well,
are
I
you
mean,
gonna
if we're
say?
not
salary man,
disqualifying
he'd never do
Shaggy
that.
for substance abuse, I mean, we can't disqualify George for bending the rules a little bit.
I think we have to go full celebrity deathmatch here.
I think we do too. And I mean, at that point, we know damn well fucking Shaggy's going to go Ultra Instinct on his ass, so he's going to have to get armored up to withstand that sort of assault.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be a curious play for sure. All right, we're gonna have to come down to it. Hey, give me your final calls here, guys. Who is coming out victorious in the battle of Shaggy Rogers versus George Jetson?
I've been watching a lot of fights for many years, and I gotta tell you, Norville Rogers is gonna put him to the ground, and I'm gonna tell you why. He's got Ultra Instinct. He's got very good footwork from running away from monsters for many years. Plus, he's got a dog that trains him. He's got his animal instincts too. Now, as for Jetson, he's just a salary man. He doesn't work out. He's got a little bit of a gut in the middle. That treadmill he always slips and falls on. He can't even run a mile. I say Shaggy Rogers, unanimous decision.
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Atlas stopping by the program. Thank you so much, Teddy Atlas. It was a great to hear him weigh in.
I'm actually really impressed with that board.
Yeah, it was pretty stellar. It's nice to have Teddy Atlas on the program. Gordon,
No problem. Anytime.
Gordon, who do you have coming out on top here?
I'm gonna have to echo Teddy here. Not for the same reasons though. I think Shaggy has always had an element of dumb luck in his life, whereas I would say the opposite is true for George. George's life is pretty much just one bad luck incident after another, and for Shaggy, no matter what shit he finds himself in, he always finds a way out. So I'm gonna have to go with Shaggy on this one.
Interesting. Danno, who do you got here? Battle of the Cartoon Behemoths.
You know, if somebody's going to be on top at the end of the night, I'm going to choose Velma.
It's not a horrible call. We've all tumbled down a hole of Velma cosplay on Google. Have we not? I've said too much. You know, if you're asking me, I think that there is a sea of quiet rage bubbling beneath the surface of Shaggy Rogers that he is just waiting to release. And I think what happens is he shows up to the fight. He's, kind of into it, kind of not into it. He hits on Judy Jetson. She won't give him the time of day. That makes him go crazy. And then he kills George Jetson. Grant.
I honestly think by the time everything is said and done, George is going to say what he always says. And he is going to be screaming for Jane or anyone to stop this crazy thing.
So you're saying he's throwing in the towel? He's throwing in the towel!
No, I'm not saying he's throwing in the towel. I'm just saying he's going to be begging for the beating to stop. I mean, man can take a hit. I'll give him that. That man's taken plenty of hits over the years. But I don't know. Shaggy is... You got to watch out for the nice ones.
Yeah, all right. Well, I didn't tally the votes, but I know what I said, so I say Shaggy wins. And that's going to bring an end to the Shaggy Rogers George Jetson hypothetical celebrity deathmatch team battle ass kicking.
streaming service, monthly charge, Walter White, Homer and Marge, claim the couch, don't answer the door.
Who watches TV anymore?
All those production meetings, and that's what we came up with. All right, well, let's go ahead and get TV kicked off.
Okay. So when it comes to TV, I'm pretty much watching one show and one show only. Cause
Cagney and Lacey reruns. Got it.
You know
yeah,
it.
we all have our guilty pleasures.
I've been fucking freebasing St. Elsewhere for the past 3 weeks.
God, you Howie Mandel loving son of a bitch, you.
But dude, Westworld, Westworld's everything I've ever wanted from a TV show. It's like Game of Thrones for smart people. It's fucking awesome.
Wow.
That was an extreme shot fired. So if you're hearing this,
if anyone hasn't drowned from the condescension that was dripping in that opening statement, then I hope you're still listening.
Well, I mean, like, you know, it's the same sort of stuff. It's still violence and titties. It's just at this point you actually have to think about something in between the violence and titties. You don't really have to do that in Game of Thrones.
Violence and titties. You just described my formative years. The 80s were wonderful.
But yeah, this past episode that just came through was pretty much all based around Shogun World, which anybody who knows me knows that I have a tendency to weeb the fuck out over just about anything involving feudal Japan.
How many times did you climax during that episode?
Listen, I remember it being just kind of tunnel vision and throbbing in my ears by the time it was all said and done.
So you went Sting tantric? You went tantric on it?
I went full blown Sting on this motherfucker, dude. It was awesome. But yeah, dude, it was great. The episode was awesome. I mean, when you get to, they were showing the juxtaposition of the fact that they're lazy and don't necessarily create different narratives for each of the parks.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So when you see it's basically the Japanese version of what's going on in Westworld and how it's the same character archetypes and everything. And you get like Rinko Kinkuchi playing, Akane. And I forget who's playing Musashi, but he does a fantastic job. And I've seen him before in The Last Samurai and some other things as well. He's a very good actor. I can't remember his name off the hand, and it's making me upset. But
if you're asking me, it's Westworld's Emmy submission this year for sure. Like that episode,
dude. There's so much stuff going on. There's so much to unpack, and the questions keep getting larger. The stuff that Maeve is able to do now is very interesting, and there's always this juxtaposition between Maeve and Dolores. And to me, on this one, I'm really starting to see shades of where Dolores, it's really, both Maeve and Dolores are free, they're woke, so to speak, but they're trying to force other people to kind of go along with their narrative. And Maeve has the power to now like telepathically influence that, at least a host. Well, Dolores does not. She has to brute force her way into shit. And Dolores, as a result, is becoming more like her captors, being the humans that created the park and the hosts. Whereas Maeve, when Akane was like, no, I don't want to do that, Maeve backed off. Maeve gave her a choice. You know what I mean? So I think that there's a very interesting dichotomy, because both of these two reactions and both of these two pushes for control are very human traits.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool. I love the way this the season's shaping up, and the rest of it's going to be fucking sick.
Yeah, the music in the episode was just...
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
When she's doing the freaking geisha dance and shit, yo, listen, like there's a rendition of Cream. I forget the guy's name who does the soundtrack now. He does a fantastic job. He does all these renditions of like classic songs, but they're done in either like pianola saloon style for Westworld, or it's done in like sitar for Raja World or whatever.
Yeah, he brings in the contemporary stuff and
exactly, and then turns it into something else.
Right.
But when she is dancing to a shamisen version of the Wu-Tang Clan's Cream,
I almost had.
Yo, the fucking coolest shit. Spoiler alert. I don't give a fuck if it's a spoiler alert. Whatever. When she finishes that dance, the most ironic shit in that entire fucking episode boils down to the fact that the Shogun did not fucking protect his neck. That shit, I sat, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, they made a protect your neck joke and didn't even freaking call it out. They didn't even call it out. I'm like, it's so fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Westworld's high quality television for sure.
High quality.
I see some other stuff on the docket. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. Agretsuko.
Agretsuko. So this is the brand new Netflix exclusive anime done by our Japanese friends over at Sanrio. For those of you playing along at home, those are the fun folks who invented Hello Kitty. So way before you even knew what fucking anime was, you probably knew what Hello Kitty was. And Agretsuko is short for Aggressive Retsuko, and it is the most charming little cartoon show you've ever seen. Retsuko is a red panda office worker in her 20s. She's 25, and she works a shitty accounting job every day, and at night, to deal with the fact that she works a shitty accounting job, she goes to the karaoke bar and just screams death metal. That's the entire setup for the show, and it sounds really goofy, but it's actually this really smartly written show with awesomely written characters. They're super interesting. They all have a unique thing about them. They're not just boiled down to tropes, and it explores all these different concepts. The best way I've seen described it, and I think it was Mother's Basement on YouTube who described it best, Agretsuko is a children's cartoon for children who are 20 plus years old.
That's an interesting way to put it.
It explores all the same kind of simple boiled down morals and themes and stuff, but it's really smartly written, and the more you pay attention to it as you watch it, the more you get out of it. It also benefits from having both a really good Japanese dub, of course, but also a pretty solid English dub. So I think it's pretty watchable in both voices, so don't get scared off if you're not the kind of person to watch an anime or something like that with Japanese voices. The English dub is definitely really good.
Speaking of anime, didn't you also?
Yeah, this is the portion of the program where we shame Gordon.
Go ahead and tell those people what you fucking did, Gordon.
So, recently Right Stuff Anime was running a sale, and I wanted to pick up some more Gundam Blu-rays, and so next up on my docket of things I need to watch were Double Zeta Gundam and MS igLoo, which, for those of you who have no familiarity with MS igLoo, there's a reason for it, because it's basically I paid $30 to watch PS2 cutscenes. This is basically it looks just terribly. The stories aren't awful. They're not great, but they're not terrible. They're just kind of one-off bits about secret Gundam weapons that never happened.
You paid $30 for mediocre PS2 cutscenes.
This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that's a result of a bet. Losing a bet with a friend, but we know Gordon doesn't have any friends, so that makes the whole thing even sadder.
Dude, you are seriously now my patron saint of bad investments. That's literally.
I mean, I bought Gundam Versus when it came out, so yeah, I'm pretty much at this point.
We all did. Hey,
go ahead and email Gordon. Those out there listening, if he's got a couple Microsoft Zunes he needs to get off his hands.
Yep.
You guys. I can't even laugh about that. I actually did own a Zune HD for a time.
What?
No, I saw that coming. It was
actually a pretty neat little device. It was the little one they
made.
Way to be on
brand,
touchscreen.
Gordon. Way to be on brand.
I'm always on brand. I just, I like to carry the brand forward. It was actually a neat little device. It was a little touchscreen thing. It was like an iPod Touch but smaller. It had Audio Surf as a game you could play on it. Which does
it have video? You can put video on there?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, awesome! Why don't you put MS igLoo on that so you can watch it how it was meant to be seen?
God damn.
In a dark room alone. Well, let's go to somebody who's watching TV that they won't be shamed for. Danno?
Yeah, I finished another episode of The Wire.
Oh, good. Moving on.
One episode every few months. I'm doing good so far.
Good man. As long as you're making it through it, good man. Omar's coming.
It's true. Omar is coming, and I'm still in season 3. Things are starting to pick up to where I think I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to start binging and I won't fall asleep, hopefully.
Binge
That's my
watching
biggest
for
problem.
Danno is one episode every 9 weeks, so he's really going to pick up the pace.
Have you already seen the scene where it's like you want it to be one way, but it's the other way?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So it's Marlo Stanfield. You haven't seen that yet?
Nope. I'm guessing I'm about to.
Yeah, you will.
Sounds like
while.
code. I gave her the old Marlo Stanfield. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the guy who plays Marlo Stanfield, Jamie Hector, he's such a phenomenal actor. I want to say he's in I think he's in Bosch right now. He was also the voice of Emil in Halo Reach. He's he's a Haitian actor, really good. That guy is awesome in everything he's in. A lot like Michael K. Williams.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy who plays Omar.
Yes.
Yeah, he is phenomenal in everything he touches. It's amazing.
Which is kind of upsetting because I saw in a review for the all-female Ghostbusters that he's in it.
Oh,
we gotta.
I know, right? I mean, paychecks are paychecks, but come on, Omar.
Not even. Here's the thing, man. Not even that movie could stop Omar from coming.
We're gonna have to refocus Grant now. Somebody mentioned the girls Ghostbusters movie.
So
no, it's all good. I
get down that rant.
I don't want to kick anything while it's down.
Yeah, for real. Well, I actually use my television to watch sports programs.
I have never seen such large groups of virile men so obsessed with balls. Sports ball.
All right, we're gonna get into that sports right now. Christian Vasquez, we're gonna discuss sports. We got some. We're about to get into the doldrums, the summer sports season. Mostly baseball once the NBA and the NHL wrap up. But let's go ahead and talk about that first. The NHL playoffs have some interesting stories. What's going down in the NHL, Christian?
Well, from Condit absolutely losing his shit over in the sports ball channel. For starters, we're going to find out to see if the Jets are for real or not. That's what everyone's been asking, including my coworkers at the big sports media conglomerate that I work for, because no one really saw the Jets getting this far. And then, of course, the other big stories with good old Tampa Bay trying to go back into the Stanley Cup again, but they're going to get a really stiff Capitals team, which everyone... I got some really mixed opinions. People hate the Capitals, but at the same time they want Ovechkin to finally win one. So right. I don't know where do you draw the line on that?
Well, you're burying the lead, Christian, because last night actually the Las Vegas Knights put that question to bed on the Winnipeg Jets, and the Las Vegas Knights in their inaugural season have advanced to the Western Conference Finals, and have advanced from the Western Conference Finals to the NHL Finals, and are waiting on the winner of that Capitals Lightning tilt. The Caps actually had a 2-0 series lead and have choked that away and have to win tonight. Otherwise, the Lightning are going back. So they're doing that in their
inaugural season?
The first season, Grant.
Yeah.
Grant, these were all players that were discarded, left open and available from other teams, and a ragtag group of guys that got together. Usually you just try to not get blown out in your first season, and these guys are 4 games away from holding the Stanley Cup and having their names etched on it for eternity. So it's a pretty amazing story. Not a lot of I think the Cleveland Browns won the 1947 NFL championship in their inaugural year, but in a competitive sports league with 30 teams, something like this has never been seen before.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, it's interesting with the NHL because the salary cap is so low. I think an expansion draft really benefits a new team right now, because everyone pretty much they fiercely guarded their A-list players, and then they wanted to guard their up and coming prospects. But then all of these second tier players who are all really good just got to get drafted and form a really cohesive team. It's been really cool, honestly, to watch this team all season.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting if we get a Las Vegas Knights Tampa Bay Lightning final. You know, two warm weather locales with our ice hockey championship. It's going to be interesting to see how the ratings play out for that. But we also got the NBA playoffs going on. Actually, we're in progress on Game 4 of Boston and Cleveland as we speak. But not as you listen. But right now, a 2-1 series lead for the Boston Celtics. But the Cavs came back in an interesting way last night with or a night or so ago with with LeBron only taking about a dozen or so shots. Christian, haven't seen that from the playoffs yet. It's mostly been LeBron dominating. Do you think that they can sustain LeBron only taking a dozen to 15 shots per game and still win against this talented Boston Celtics team?
Let me take you behind the curtain on that, okay? I'm gonna take all y'all behind the curtain on this. LeBron,
I appreciate it.
People are looking at this and panicking off of one game, saying, "Oh, he's only taking 12 shots. LeBron is tired. He's tired. He's played through the whole regular season." Let me tell you something. LeBron James, in my opinion, has already passed up Larry Bird on my top 5 of one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Okay? This man is the reason why the Cavaliers have gotten this far. Okay? Tristan Thompson's already affected by the Kardashian curse. J.R. Smith is hit or miss. Kyle Korver, as great as a three-point shooter he is hit or miss. And LeBron is just... he's LeBron. He just does LeBron things like charging into the paint, crying over some bad calls that I saw a couple nights ago, which was crazy. But I think what they're really doing really well is they're getting a little bit better on rim protection because all throughout
other
the regular
guys finally
season,
making
the
a
Cavs
few
had
shots.
none. I mean,
to the point where LeBron doesn't feel like he has to do it all himself. I mean, a few games ago, he put up 42 and a triple-double and lost. So that's got to be pretty disconcerting. So to only see him take a dozen shots was pretty surprising. What's going on over in the West with the Rockets and the Warriors?
Now, as far as the Rockets and the Warriors are concerned, this has been... I'm getting a little bit of cases of deja vu in a sense that I really want to believe...
Your boots on the ground, right, Christian? You're there in Houston.
Yeah. I want them to win, don't get me wrong, but it's just... These past 2 games have reminded me why the Warriors are the Warriors. The thing is, the West 2 heavyweights... didn't have much trouble en route to their matchup in the conference finals, which everyone's basically saying is the NBA finals. But, with each of them advancing and needing 5 games in each series, it's not going to be easy, especially with both of these teams. The Rockets have struggled to do better on defense. I mean, they're spotty. They have their moments, but they're not consistent. And the way that the Warriors team is designed is they're such an amoeba. They can play defense. They can kill you from the 3. They can set up on the inside post where they can pass it up to Durant for an easy lob. They can score from so many different ways, while the Rockets are just a little more one-dimensional as far as like, oh, look at us, we can shoot threes and occasionally throw it to Capella in the center. And how far is that going to take you?
Right.
You know?
Well, I'd ask you who you're going to put your money on in that Western Conference Finals series, but it doesn't really matter. I think we already really know who you're gonna put your money on. But Christian, you can put your money on whoever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. Legalized sports betting has been ratified by the Supreme Court essentially, and we're going to see betting across the country in all sports. Christian, what do you think about legalized sports betting? Everyone weigh in. This can affect everyone.
All right,
they're going to let you bet on Quidditch.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to corner the market on Quidditch. I'll be right back. Actually, I'm going to do a bunch of reading on the competitive Quidditch scene.
I just want to hear what sort of weird conversations come about when people start like cornhole betting.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to tell you this.
Back to the cornhole well, huh, Grant?
Look at it this way. This is going to be huge. For one, I mean, I hate to sound like a bleeding heart, but student athletes are going to get totally screwed from this, but it is what it is.
At what point do student athletes not get screwed?
Well,
I
it's
mean,
not
that's
just
a whole
them
other
getting
can of
screwed
worms.
from, again, another revenue stream that they're not going to see. What it's going to do is it's going to make those student athletes more vulnerable than they ever have been to outside influence. And I think that's definitely going to be one of the biggest trade-offs that we see in this is that there's just going to be so much more opportunity for interference in sports. And, you know, when you look at the college athlete, who is more vulnerable than them? You know, they have the opportunity to change the outcome. They have no money and they're poor. A lot of them are from poor backgrounds. And you walk up to them and say, I don't need you to lose the game. I just need you to win by 3. And here's $15,000. Have you ever seen this much cash at one time? Here you go. And that's how sports change.
Well, not only that, now let me ask y'all this. Here's a good question. Will legalizing sports gambling in your state help with tanking in the NBA or sports in general? But you know, since NBA is hot right now, we'll apply it to this. Will sports gambling help alleviate tanking? That's what I really want to know.
I don't see the correlation. I don't see how the betting industry would, you know, influence whether or not. Well, I guess because they're manipulating the outcome of the game, trying to lose. I see what you're saying there now. But
yeah, it would certainly maybe add some pressure from the people that are profiting from betting to say like, hey, you know, don't tank because we need people to bet on these games, and they're not going to bet if they know that you're just trying to lose to get a better draft pick.
Right.
So I could definitely see maybe some outside pressures there. NBA tanking, I feel like, is a whole separate thing. We could probably spend an hour and a half just talking about that.
Oh, no kidding.
I don't, you know, and I'm not a big bettor myself, and I don't know that, you know, having this ability is going to, increase betting. I guess it's going to obviously increase a bit, but it's not like people didn't have avenues if they wanted to sports gamble. I mean, I'll sit next to my buddy and he's betting on Croatian soccer all day. It's not that he has a problem. He just really, really, really likes Croatian soccer. So, but he's got a little app on his phone and he does that stuff all the time. So I don't think it's like really.
That's what I was about to tell you.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to tell you. They made it so easy to do it. You can bet on the most asinine stuff, like, oh, you know, how many
there's
points
live
is
betting
Cam
too.
Newton
I mean,
gonna
you
make?
could
Yeah.
bet over play outcomes, and you can bet like, okay, now that it's at halftime, you can bet this much to win this much. Like you could still bet in the middle of a game. It's crazy.
I can now.
Go ahead.
I can now bet on POG tournaments.
Yeah.
We've hit the pinnacle of human civilization, folks.
Yeah. Bet on esports too. I mean, you are able to do that online, but now it's going to be way easier too.
Oh, you can start betting on esports, man. See, that's the thing. Like esports, the FGC is going to have to get hood if they're going to let that shit happen.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah,
esports
you're going to see a lot more frequency in that for sure. The esports arenas are starting to pop up all over the place. Professional franchise owners for other major league sports are starting to buy into esports franchises. So that's something that, again, another topic for another day, but something that we can definitely get into. But all right, everyone, that's going to do it for another episode of the Basement Roadshow podcast. So for Christian Vasquez, Danno Waddell, Gordon Kirshner, and my main man Grant Patterson, we gonna see you on the flip side.